All right, I'd like to just formally now welcome you all to our 2026 Insider Chat. And I am here today to have the privilege of introducing our team. I'm going to welcome Janet McBride, Ryan Mack, and the trail team, and we'll all be sharing more about what's happening with the Ridge Trail. So to start, I'm going to turn it over to Janet McBride, our Executive Director.
Thanks, Marie. And I add my welcome, happy spring. We are so happy to have you, our fellow trail lovers, join us today for our behind the scenes insider chat. We have a lot of news to share, as Marie said, so we'll jump right in with the next slide, the agenda for the day. And so we have something really exciting to talk about, which is our quest for the national, for becoming a national scenic trail. We're going to really dive in on that. The trail team is also going to share trail progress expected for the year ahead. We're going to give you an update about the Ridge Trail Action Fund and some of the investments we've been able to make with that fund. We're going to share about upcoming events, and then we're going to talk a little bit about transitions underway at the Ridge Trail Council. So with that, I wanted to also share that the impact report for 2025 is out. Maybe you've received it in your mailbox. It hasn't arrived in my mailbox yet. So every day I'm anxiously looking for it. But it has accomplishments of last year, also a highlight of projects on the horizon. Ridge Trail members can get it in the mail in print, but everyone can watch it, can check it out anytime at ridgetrail.org. So we invite you to take a look at that. So that's impact report for last year. Looking ahead now to 2026, our theme for the year is connection. And we think about that in terms of we're connecting the Ridge Trail, but also the Ridge Trail connects us. So it's the idea that we are connecting the physical trail, we're filling in the gaps, but also the idea that the trail connects communities, it connects people to nature, and it connects the natural world via a continuous corridor for habitat and wildlife. So it's all about connection. And obviously that's not just 2026, that's an evergreen theme for the Ridge Trail. Next slide, please. So maybe you've seen some of the positive media coverage that we've had recently, a lot of front page stories. This slide highlights some of those front page features, including an acquisition of Mead Ranch, Marin Municipal Water District's decision to add 11 miles north of the Mountain Theater on Mount Tam for a multi-use connection. And also the great coverage that we've received about our quest to become a national scenic trail. We're really going to shine a light on that today. And this is something that's probably going to take years to achieve. But the journey kicked off in late January with bills introduced in Congress. And it was accompanied by a flurry of press releases. And that led to some great coverage. And Ryan Mack's going to tell us more about that in a minute. But first, we wanted to share with you a clip from KPIX News.
Well, we're live at the Presidio in San Francisco, where a lot of people are taking advantage of the sunshine on this last dry day for a while. And this evening, we're shining a spotlight on the push to expand access to some of the Bay Area's natural treasures. We're talking about the Bay Area Ridge Trail that stretches along the Golden Gate Bridge right behind me over to the Marin Headlands. And for some, it's part of a consistent routine to enjoy the outdoors.
I'd say I use the trail probably like 3 to 4 times a week just to get out. I live in the city, so it's a nice like escape. It's easy to just do like a city lap and kind of stay on some gravel because it's nice to bike with. Getting into like my own little bubble and like just being able to think clearly and seeing the views definitely makes it nice.
And you may not know from looking at it, but this strip of trail behind me where you see these people walking and biking is all part of a giant loop weaving throughout the Bay Area's 9 counties. And now there's an effort underway to get a lot more people on that trail by giving it some special federal recognition. Here's a look at the full loop. Bay Area members of Congress are now pushing to have it made into a national scenic trail stretching from Calistoga all the way down to Gilroy. And as Kara St. Cyr reports, it could help fill in the gaps and connect hundreds of miles of trails all surrounding the Bay Area.
Oh, the views are just amazing.
One of the most beautiful vistas in California, the Bay Area Ridge Trail stretches on for more than 400 miles. Elise Simonian has walked at least 200 of them.
And the trail takes me to places that I normally wouldn't visit, different places in the Bay Area.
But the trail, which connects 9 Bay Area counties, is unfinished. The link between Petaluma and Napa has large gaps. So does the trail between San Mateo and San Jose. But this could change. Congressman Jared Huffman filed legislation to designate the Bay Area Ridge as a national scenic trail. There are only 11 in the country so far. In a statement, Huffman said designating it as a national scenic trail would not only help complete it, it would set it on par with iconic trails like the Appalachian and Pacific Crest and elevate the incredible and diverse Bay Area landscapes. Mary Sales, the development director for the trail, says federal funding could help bridge the gaps.
It also gives us national recognition, and I think just builds our awareness both for the region and the country, and that itself will bring in attention, new members, funding opportunities outside of government funding.
But for Elise, the new designation would catapult the trail to new heights for a national audience.
You could go through the city, urban areas, as well as natural open space areas, and all of them are within driving distance.
And she hopes they enjoy the walk and the views as much as she does.
So if that legislation is approved by Congress, it would require the National Park Service to perform a feasibility study on assigning that designation within 1 year.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your lunch hour today. I'm Ryan Mack, Deputy Director with the Bay Area Ridge Trail Council. And as Janet mentioned, this pursuit of National Scenic Trail status, we're looking at it as something that's more of a marathon than a sprint. This is really, we're kind of at the tip of the iceberg, just getting started on this quest, but really have hit kind of a peak milestone earlier this year. So we wanted to kind of walk you all through a little bit of what we've been doing on this and where we might be headed. So next slide, please. So that piece from KPIX is great. It really touched on a lot of the pieces that we are really thinking about that we believe that National Scenic Trail will do for us. So really that piece of enhancing our visibility. So bringing the Ridge Trail up to the level of things like the Pacific Crest Trail and the Appalachian Trail, because within the National Scenic Trails, there's only 11 nationwide right now. And so it really elevate the Ridge Trail to that kind of elite status of a next level national and potentially international destination. And part of that is also attracting new users. So from throughout the Bay Area, getting people to come to the Bay Area Ridge Trail as this amazing recreation opportunity and to connect with nature, but also beyond the Bay Area, throughout the United States and beyond potentially as well. And in addition to that, this idea of National Scenic Trail status is really to build support, raising awareness about the parts of the trail that are yet to be built so that we can close those gaps and complete that 550-mile loop. And then ultimately also, the idea is that attaining this status would unlock additional resources, some of those at the federal level, where many of the National Scenic Trails can receive additional federal funding to help with things like land acquisitions, building new trail, and even maintenance and stewardship. Next slide, please. So really, we're capturing this momentum as we move forward into 2026. And we also wanted to catch you all up on what we've been doing so far. So one of the first things we did was really reach out to our close partners. So the Ridge Trail, we work with over 40 partners throughout the Bay Area. So we did quite a bit of outreach, talking with them about how folks felt about this idea of pursuing the Ridge Trail. And with those surveys, we had, I think it was over 90% of folks that were in favor, and no one against. Really, a few folks, less than 10%, that was kind of neutral about that. So a lot of really positive support in terms of the Ridge Trail pursuing this side by side with our partners. Then we began reaching out to elected officials. We needed a champion, and we found that in Representative Jared Huffman from up in the North Bay as well. And then over the last year and a half, we also began reaching out to all of our delegates throughout the Bay Area. So that's 12 of our congressional members. And in January this year, we finally secured support of all 12 members of the Bay Area delegation, and were able to draft and then introduce legislation into the House of Representatives. One thing that we also found out in January as well, that we had also secured, with the help of Representative Huffman's office, both support of the 2 U.S. senators from California to introduce parallel legislation in the U.S. Senate at the same time. So that was great news at the end of January, really embarking us now on this path toward getting a feasibility study and pursuing National Scenic Trail status. Thank you. So carrying this momentum forward, we felt that it was really great, I think, at the end of January to really start off 2026 with this fantastic momentum. And so looking forward, we're going to continue to work with our officials, because now that we have the legislation introduced, really the goal is to help bring those towards a vote, so that can authorize the feasibility study, which would really be the first large step in this quest for National Scenic Trail status. This summer, we're also going to launch the Ridge Trail map on the Far Out Guides app. And so the Far Out Guides, in case you aren't familiar, is sort of the premier app for most of the long distance trails, not only in the United States, but also internationally. So a lot of folks going out to hike the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail, or some of the treks internationally, you can go there and download your particular trail that you're looking for. And the Ridge Trail, we're going to launch the Ridge Trail version of this summer. So we're excited about that, because it really brings the Ridge Trail, again, lifting it to the level of these international and National Scenic Trail opportunities as well. And so that bleeds into the third item, which is new partnerships. So partnering with folks like Far Out Guides, and then as well as the partnership for the National Trail System as well, which is a national nonprofit really working to elevate national scenic trails. So that's where we're heading in 2026. And then we also often get the question more recently too is, well, what can we do to help out? And so how can you be a part of this journey? Because it is going to be a long one, and we really want to encourage public support and folks to weigh in on this. And eventually down the road, there's going to be public workshops that we would love for all of you as Ridge Trail supporters and members to really turn out and vocalize that support. So the first thing you can do is check out our website. We have a brand new web page put up that has background information on National Scenic Trail, as well as some resources there. And Alex is going to walk you through that in just a minute. The second thing you can do is sign up for our advocacy mailing list, which I think will drop into the chat here in a moment, so you can check that out. And then we will notify you of any times that we need help reaching out to representatives, or when those workshops come online. And the last piece is to make a gift to the Trail Action Fund that Marie Sales, our development director, will talk about a little later today, because those funds are really helping us to push forward these strategic initiatives like Pursuit of National Scenic Trails. I'll turn it over to Alex to walk us through the website.
Thanks, Ryan. Just wanted to, if you haven't got a chance, can everyone see this okay? Great. Yeah, if you haven't gotten a chance to check out on our website, we do have a National Scenic Trail page that deep dives into more of this information that Ryan just spoke about, how the Ridge Trail fits as a National Scenic Trail. And then at the bottom here, there's all these links to resources for how you can get involved, including making donations, staying informed, contacting your representative, and just getting out on the trail with us. So feel free to click around on these. There's also these media highlights down here as well. And I'll drop some of these links in the chat so that you can follow them at your leisure.
Thanks, Alex. So we're going to jump into a little bit of trail progress for 2026. And before I hand it off to the fantastic trail team of Kyvan and Ryan, we wanted to give you a little update on our mileage. So if we move forward to the next slide, you'll see that we are currently at 406 miles. So rather 406.4 to be exact for those counting the decimals. And I know there's a few of you probably wondering, wait a second, we just reached 400 several years ago. How are we only at 406? Because we've had some great progress. And so really part of this is really a strategic plan to look at our mileage and really keep this number refined. The way we're approaching this is like a lot of the other long distance trails. So when looking at other trails, National Scenic Trails, for example, even the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail, these numbers fluctuate on a yearly basis based upon when some trails are open or closed, based on weather conditions, etc. And the Ridge Trail, of course, is affected by those same pieces. And then also, we're not yet complete. So we're still finalizing what will be the ultimate route. So while this number is at 406 now, other trails, there are still in the broader Ridge Trail network, but we have redesignated them rather. So if these are our primary trails on this map that you're seeing right now, and that's currently at 406. And at the next slide or the next picture you see on the left, the entire Ridge Trail network, we actually have 510 miles. So what we've done is actually taken some of the trails that were previously primary and determined that actually those are more of a parallel trail, or it's an alternate route, or it's a spur trail or a regional connector. And so we've been cleaning up that database and refining this for the reason, if you advance to the next piece, please. Ultimately, we would like one clean, true Ridge Trail loop, which will be 550 miles. And so that's what we've been doing, is this overall cleanup of our database with the idea of working toward the clean 550-mile loop. So while the mileage numbers might be a little different than you expected, many of the trails are still part of the Ridge Trail, just not as primary miles, but rather part of our entire network. So they might be a parallel or an alternate rather than primary as they were in the past. So what we're hoping to do later this year is write a little blog series that explains some of this for folks that are really interested in things like the numbers, but know that we are making a lot of progress moving forward. A lot of the change in the numbers is merely just a recategorization of what's going on behind the scenes. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Kaivan Ellop, our North Bay project manager, to walk us through upcoming trail openings in the North Bay.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, everyone. Kaivan Ellop. I'm the project manager for the northern half of the Ridge Trail. So just going to give you all a preview to some of the dedications that are in process of being incorporated into our Ridge Trail network. So first, I'll start out with the Easy Grade Trail. Probably a lot of folks have heard about it, but it's up in Marin County and is a change in use trail project that was led by our partners at California State Parks, where there were new structures and realignments that can now accommodate bikes. And so doing that takes bikers off of Pantall Road, which you can see on that map on the right-hand side. That blue part is where bikers needed to bike. But now with the upgrades to the Easy Grade Trail along that yellow part, bikers now have an off-street option to connect Pantall, Ranger Station, and Mountain Theater. And if we can go to the next slide, continuing north from there, where the Easy Grade Trail left off, which is kind of at the parking lot off of Ridgecrest Boulevard. We worked in collaboration with our new partners at Marin Municipal Water District, and we saw a way to continue the new Easy Grade parallel, because at the moment, there is a bike and equestrian gap between Mountain Theater and the Bolinas Ridge Trailhead on Fairfax-Bolinas Road, where you would need to use the road to connect those. So through some research and working with our partners there, we found that Marin Municipal Water District recently worked on constructing a new trail along Alpine Lake called Liberty Gulch, which accommodates bikes and equestrians. So now people can make their way north on the Ridge Trail to stay off of the streets shared with cars, and that would connect our current full multi-use Ridge Trail, to our full multi-use Ridge Trail at Gary Giacomini Open Space and White Hill Open Space area, offering a long connected stretch of off-street biking opportunities. And then if we could go to the next slide, headed east over to Alameda County, that brings us to the Briones East Alternate. Two new alignments to accommodate all user types will allow Ridge Trail users looking for overnights or just longer stretches of trail to bypass some of our longer term gaps in the area, those blue gaps, Dedicating this alternate trail will make a little over 80 miles of connected ridge trail from Blue Rock Springs Park up in Vallejo all the way down to our section called the Don Castro and Five Canyons Parkway near Hayward. And so doing this incorporates more open space and partners into the network of ridge trail miles. And so before I move on to the next one, the great thing about the 3 trails that I just talked about is that they were all already current and existing. So they are all already ready to be explored by users. And we're working with partners to install signage and wayfinding and update all of our maps and web pages. So be on the lookout for those to have some more adventures along the ridge trail. And if we go to the last one, the last trail I'll talk about before we travel to the southern half of the trail is over at Susquehanna Headwaters Preserve up in Napa County. This is kind of along the Napa-Solano County border. This trail is hopefully expected to be completed in the latter half of the year by our partners at Napa Open Space District. This trail will extend from the first phase of the trail at Susquehanna Headwaters Preserve along the ridgeline. And the trail will also be accessible from an access trail further south in Napa County along North Kelly Road in that bottom left-hand corner. Thanks. That offers ways to coordinate shuttles or access the trail in other ways. This would be 11 miles of connected ridge trail network in this area with opportunities to use regional connector trails like the River to Ridge Trail over in the top left and Vine Trail to the northwest. So just more connected miles for more multi-day adventures. And with that, I'll hand it over to our other project manager, Ryan.
Thanks, Kyvan. Hi, everyone. Ryan Fritz, southern half of the Ridge Trail project manager. And our first big upcoming dedication down there is in San Mateo County. That's the 6-mile Southern Skyline extension. Of those 6 miles, it's a brand new multi-use trail. 5.4 miles will become part of our primary Ridge Trail network. And if we go forward one more to see what we can expect, north of 92, there is a new parking lot and accessible loop to support the Fifield Cahill Ridge Trail. And then south of 92, separately, we'll have a brand new parking lot and staging area to launch into that 6-mile trail, the Southern Skyline extension. In the next few years, they'll complete a link to Prisma Creek Redwoods, where we have Ridge Trail, and you will be able to continue on south. But right now, there's a gap at the bottom and the top, but it'll still be a great out and back trail. Construction is wrapping up for this trail later this year, and then an opening will be soon after that. And you can bet that we will keep you all posted when we have an opening date and we can all go out and enjoy this new trail. If we go to the next slide, just an update behind the scenes on some of the planning work going on. We see down in Gilroy, we have a long gap. It's one of our more complicated sections of Ridge Trail. Gilroy is a mix of city environments, agricultural land, and open space. So I've been really diving into a route study to see some potential crossing options. So that involves reaching out to trail agencies and community orgs and local advocates to kind of get a lay of the land. And if we go one forward, we can start putting together some route options. This map shows some on-street and off-street route options, both existing and undeveloped. And we start looking at these route options. If we go forward one, we can start to assign rankings and criteria to understand the feasibility of these route options. And we'll continue to refine these into kind of a packet of recommendations and hopefully eventually have an even more viable route across Gilroy. And we'll go to the next, and I'll pass it back over to Ryan Mack for a recap of what's coming up soon.
Thank you, Ryan and Kyvan. So as you can see on the right, looking at the map, in recent years, we've had a lot of activity up in the North Bay and the South Bay. And interestingly, for 2026, a lot of action kind of around these central areas, which really, I think, speaks to the theme of this year in terms of connection. So there's a lot of these gaps and parallels and use gaps and alternate trails that are really helping us to connect larger sections of Ridge Trail on both the western flank and the eastern flank. And so with that in mind, we're really looking at this amazing number of nearly 50 miles, so approximately 48 miles of Ridge Trail and the entire network potentially being open to use this year. And that includes 10 miles of primary trail, 10 miles of parallel trail, 25 miles of new alternate routes that Kaivan was speaking to in the East Bay, and then also 3 miles of access trail connecting up to the ridge lines. So we're quite excited about all of this activity, with nearly 50 miles being added to the Ridge Trail network and really unlocking new options for overnight adventures and more connectivity around the region. So with that, I will now hand it over to Marie Sales, our development director, to tell you about the Trail Action Fund.
Again, everyone, I'm going to ask Alex to move to the next slide. Thank you. We have great news with the Ridge Trail Action Fund. Just for those of you that aren't familiar, it is a special resource fund, quick action resource that provides timely and flexible funding where and when it's needed most for our current trail projects. So this is often a means for us to apply funding when and where it's needed most in a way that often can unlock a project immediately, and in a way that often possibly would have stymied that if that funding wasn't there, that project for years to come. So we've really been proud of where it's gone. And take me to the next slide, please, and I'll just share some of our recent outcomes. So in the past, we had a campaign called 50 Miles in 5 Years with the Ridge Trail Action Fund. And over the past 4 years, we've raised over $325,000, and $300,000 of that has been applied to 10 projects all around the Bay Area. We've leveraged $2.5 million in additional funding for those projects. And some of those include, looking up here, we have interpretive signs at the Twin Peaks Promenade renovations. We had, as mentioned, the Easy Grade Trail on the right. That is a half a mile of trail that was renovated for change of use, bike use, but it then unlocked an additional 11 miles of alternate trail in Marin for safer bike and equestrian through use, which really before the Easy Grade project was unlocked, we didn't know that was available. And then lastly, we have the Rancho Cañado de Oro, which is with contributions from the Ridge Trail Action Fund. 3 new miles of Ridge Trail are being built in collaboration with our partners down there. Next slide, please. And where are we going in 2026? In 2026, we have a slate of projects that we're looking at to fund through the Ridge Trail Action Fund, and that includes the work towards our National Scenic Trail designation, trail construction on a Vallejo Sweat Ranch project. That's going to be some special access miles, and our Marin-Sonoma routing study. As Ryan mentioned, Ryan Fritz earlier, the Gilroy routing study is really significant and important for our work, and we're looking at applying that same technique, different parts of the trail. So we'll look at those 3, but there's also opportunities for projects that might come up at the last minute that we really would want to apply funds to this year. And then what's our goal this year? We're hoping to raise $115,000 this year. We're just at $15,000, so we have $100,000 to go. Don't worry, I'll tell you how you can help support. Next slide, please. So, we are an organization that relies on our community and our members for support. We could not do any of this work without you. So if you're wondering how you can get involved, there's 3 very clear ways. You can make a gift, as you might do regularly, to the annual fund, your annual membership, and that keeps our core work going. You could make a gift, a special additional gift to the Action Fund that would help the trail grow right now with projects. Or you could consider a legacy gift that would ensure that we are here for the long haul. So you're always welcome to reach out to me, and I can talk to you about any of those options. The next slide, please. We're going to jump into now, how do we connect people on the Ridge Trail? So we are connecting through trail projects, but we're also connecting people to community events and outings and to each other on the trail. And next slide, please. In 2026, we've already hosted 10 events and have had over 100 volunteers and 600 participants. And I'll just give a nod back to last year. I think we had close to 4,000 people out in various ways on the trail together. But right here, we're looking at just a few of our events so far this year. No Worries Amigos Hiking Club day and night hikes. We had the Super Stroll, that's our annual Super Bowl event in January or early February. We had a volunteering event with our partner Pama Kids at the San Francisco Marathon with Ridge Trail volunteers. And we had amazingly the Skyline Ridge Run that was sold out this year. And that was over 107 runners, hikers, and volunteers together on the trail down at Skyline Boulevard in the South Bay. And that event raises over $15,000 for the Ridge Trail. Next slide is our signature events that are upcoming this year. Ridge to Bridge is happening in just 2 weeks. That's a ticketed fundraiser event that usually sells out. We have hikers, bikers, and equestrians coming together on the trail. In Marin, this is our 29th year doing Ridge to Bridge. We have East Bay Hills over Labor Day weekend. That's a 5-day hike and ride overnight. You can stay for 1 day, you can stay for 5. Really amazing collaborative community event. This year, we're doing the first ever Slide Ranch overnight. That's going to be mid-October. And look for signups there. I think that is going to be a Saturday, Sunday night event. And we'll be partnering with the folks at Slide Ranch and doing day hikes in Marin. And then finally, our traditional service day, Ridge Trail Service Day on November 7th. And that will be 10 or so projects all around the Bay helping steward and care for the trail. Next slide, please. And then lastly, other ways to get out on the trail. You've heard us talk about VITs, that stands for Very Important Trail. Those are our special access outings that bring our members and our community to access private land, restricted land, or not yet open to the public properties. And so one of those examples is going to be our Blair Ranch outing, which is Sunday, May 17th, down at just south of Rancho Cañada in Morgan Hill. And then we've been partnering regularly for the past 2 years with No Worries Amigo Hiking Club, and we have a series of monthly outings with them. The next one is Friday at Alum Rock. I think there might still be a spot. Alex can share the link in the chat with you, but we have events with them throughout the year. So please join us. Look at the events page and sign up. We'd love to see you. Jeff Gantz, who runs that program, is just an incredible and enthusiastic partner, and we really appreciate that community coming together. All right, next slide. Once again, I have the pleasure of transitioning back to Janet McBride, and she's going to take you through the next phase of the webinar. Here you go, Janet.
Thanks, Marie. Well, most of you have probably heard my news that after nearly 2 decades as executive director, I plan to retire in the next few months. And so it's really been a privilege to work at the Ridge Trail all these years. And I'd like to share a few highlights of some of the shared accomplishments and progress that we've seen. And the first highlight, of course, is trail progress. We've added over 100 miles of new trail. When I arrived in 2006, the council had just reached 300 miles in a big celebration. And what you're seeing, hopefully you can pick out slowly unfolding here is a GIF showing the new trails opening over time over the last couple of decades. So it's those trails highlighted in yellow that are popping up. And then you can see here a side-by-side on the left is just a static image of where we started in 2006 and then where we are in 2026 today. Ryan gave you the deep dive into the mileage issue. There's 406 miles of primary trail, but really there's a lot more than that that have been added to the whole network. And the labels here call out just some of the major openings. And what I'd like to do now is just take a take a little scenic tour of some of the dedications that we've seen over the years. And so, next slide, please. So actually my very first week on the job, I got to go to a trail dedication, and it was at Hood Mountain in Sonoma. And what I remember about the day is it was very hot and there was no shade, and all the attendees were trying to line up in a single skinny line of the shade of a palm tree to listen to the speeches. But it was my first dedication, so I'll always remember it. Next is in Marin, Diaz Ridge Trail opened. Actually, there were two great openings in 2010. The first is Diaz Ridge. This is a full use, amazingly beautifully designed trail that straddles both California state parks and GGNRA at the bottom, and it's a beautiful trail. And then also in 2010 in the East Bay in Fernandez Ranch. This is a John Muir Land Trust property, and John Muir Land Trust is consistently a fantastic, great, and supportive partner. This trail opened, it was the site of a Volunteer for Outdoor California weekend trail building that was really fun, very memorable and beautiful trail. Next up, 2011, trail opening in Sierra Vista in Santa Clara County, representing our work with OSA. This is just one of the most beautiful preserves anywhere. I feel like when you're out there, you just really feel like you're in the midst of wilderness. Beautiful trail. Moving next to Napa, we have the Lower Oat Hill Mine Trail. Actually, just adding some context, in around 2012, the Ridge Trail approved a major change in our alignment. We moved the route from where it was currently extending across Yountville, and we moved it all the way up to Calistoga. Shortly thereafter, we were able to dedicate the first significant stretch of this new route, beautiful Lower Oat Hill Mine Trail in Jack London State Park there. Next, in Sonoma, in 2015, Sonoma Mountain, we opened two sections, kind of bookending another Jack London State Park. We opened the north slope and the east slope of Sonoma Mountain. The Ridge Trail steward, John Aronson, designed and built these trails. They're just gorgeous. The wildflowers are fantastic. It'd be a wonderful time of year to visit it right now. So very special and memorable trails. Next, Mount Umunhum in Santa Clara County, 2017. We dedicated the highest point on the main loop. This was in partnership with MidPen. Mount Umunhum stands at 3,486 feet. Tallest part on our main loop. Next, in San Francisco, we have the Phil Arnold Trail, dedicated in 2018 on a section of Golden Gate Park. This is honoring Phil Arnold, our beloved chair. He's on the left in this photo, who we sadly lost to cancer not too long after this photo, but beautiful, fantastic trail. And then in 2020, during COVID, we dedicated Ridge Trail right in the middle of a BART station with beautiful wayfinding and interpretive signs. You see Sam Liccardo there in the middle of those three. Liccardo was then mayor and is now U.S. congressman. And again, a great section. Next, representing Solano, we call out Petuino Wortla Kodoi Dihi, which opened in 2024. We have some of our most active and loyal advocates in Solano, so shout out to them. And this was a dedication of the Doris Klein Ridge Trail, recognizing her great work there. And then last but not least, we have Rancho Cañada del Oro and Calero County Park. And this, we were able to open 14 miles dedicated, the longest section of Ridge Trail in memory. So that's just, there were many, many more dedications, but just wanted to share those with you and call those out. A few other highlights to quickly hit. Moving on, we've seen really some significant organizational growth over the last 2 decades. We talked about the mileage. Also, the annual budget increased over 200%. Our staff nearly doubled. We greatly expanded all of our events and outings. And next slide, please. Just want to show the staff. There we are on the left. In 2006, there were just 6 of us. And then today we have a wonderful, extremely talented, committed, and professional team of 11. And here we are at the gratitude gathering last fall. Next, please. Over the years, we've also undergone some really transformative changes to build capacity, to expand our program offerings, and to increase the sustainability of the council. We overhauled our governance and board structure. We built capacity for fundraising. We overhauled our communication and branding. And perhaps the most clear example of that is this development of our new logo and sign, which just makes me smile every time I see it. So I just love it. I hope you do too. And then in terms of plans and initiatives, as you can imagine, we've had many strategic plans, policies, and initiatives developed over the years. I want to highlight just a couple. In terms of plans, we had an award-winning gap analysis and action plan that was adopted in 2020. This was the culmination of years of work and deep coordination with our partners. We assessed all the gaps according to key challenges and how we might overcome those challenges. And the key focus was, using maps and graphs to represent data and to really help tell a compelling story. And so the gap analysis plan really has informed all of our ongoing work, including trail planning and advocacy, our storytelling, our fundraising support, and it's really set the stage for and it has allowed us to build upon a number of key initiatives that have come out of that. And it also influenced our next strategic plan. We adopted this strategic plan in 2021. Like I say, it built on all the information in the gap analysis. It included 3 overarching goals: to complete the trail, to experience the trail, and to build and sustain the council. And among the strategic initiatives that I think have been most successful, just wanted to call out a few of them. We had focused area plans, which you've heard about hopefully over the years. That's where we have a cluster of gaps that we tackle in a coordinated fashion, often with the collaboration of our partners. The Carquinez Strait Scenic Loop Trail is one example of that. The Mount Umunhum to Gilroy routing study is another example. It's been particularly helpful for some of our routing studies. The next initiative I want to call out is managed access, which you've heard about the outings. It's the one that we've changed the name a bit over the years. We also call it Very Important Trail and Special Access. And you've heard about it. It's where we host outings on private and restricted or not yet open properties. And it really lets us expand public access opportunities. It builds trust with landowners, and they're very, very popular because people love to get out on trail that they can't otherwise get out on their own. And then last but not least, just wanted to call out the initiative of multi-day trekking, the ultimate version of which is circumnavigation. Circumnavigation is something that just really excites people. It is, after all, the ultimate epic adventure on the Ridge Trail. And just this idea that you can go on this terrific adventure. You don't have to travel to Spain or New Zealand or anywhere else. It's right in our own backyard. And it also advances the the very idea of our mission of creating this connected loop. So very impactful and powerful. So next, please. So all this progress on the trail and within the organization, it's very much been a team effort. In addition to the deeply committed and talented staff, I want to give a shout out to our amazing and dedicated and hardworking board of directors. They provide leadership and strategic direction. They're great ambassadors on the trail and off the trail, and we can't thank them enough. And then next, I also want to recognize our incredible partners, park and open space partners, and our funders, represented by all the logos you see here. Special shout out to the Coastal Conservancy for their long-standing support. Next, please. So, last but not least, as I look forward to my next chapter, I'm also excited about the next chapter for the Ridge Trail. I know that the council is in excellent hands and is on a great trajectory for continued and hopefully even greater success. And as we plan for a leadership transition, the board is leading the search for the next executive director. So stay tuned. But meanwhile, know that I'm forever grateful to our community of partners, members, donors, and volunteers. Thank you to all of you who've shared your passion, your time and treasure, your good company on the trail, off the trail. And just know that for myself and for our whole team, we look forward to seeing you at an upcoming trail event soon. And for myself, I'm looking forward to all the dedications to come, and also to the Ridge Trail being the next National Scenic Trail.